Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Find Your Edge. My name is Jordan Nagoli, and thank you for watching or listening wherever you are in the world today. Boy, oh boy, do we have something special for you. We have got an amazing guest on the show today. He is an author, he is a speaker, he is a founder, he is an actor. He's a former NFL player, former CFL player, but more than anything, he just makes the world a better place. I would like to welcome my brother, Stevie Baggs Jr. to the show. How you doing, player?
Man, I'm great, bro. I'm great, man. I appreciate that love, and I appreciate you having me on. I'm excited about this conversation because, you know, we always have conversations about life and about abundance, and I think it's good for the people to kind of be able to dive into that. You know what we talk about.
I agree, brother. I agree. We've known each other for 20 years, man. 20
long
years.
time,
You
man.
met me when I was a kid. I think you were just right before you got into the league or getting into the league. We met through my father's medical clinic, Progressive Medical Center. Shout out Progressive.
Yes, sir.
And man, we just maintained a great relationship. You know, I've always looked at you for inspiration, guidance, motivation. Every time you come in, you've shown me and my family love, and I really appreciate that. Because a man of your status and your success doesn't always have to give time of day to people, but man, you always do. And that speaks to your character, every path you've been at, every journey you've been at in life. I really appreciate that, man.
Well, it's reciprocity, man. And I think reciprocity is a law. And I think when you don't abide by the law of reciprocity, then you either get in bondage or you die. So I give back out what's given to me. And so your dad, your whole family, of course, your mother and your brother, and your sister, like you all have been that to me, and everyone that's been connected to Progressive in the way that we met is a reflection of where we are today, right? And so I just want to tell you that, you know, I can only give what's given, bro, in that space, you know, and especially seeing you evolve into who you are and what you're doing today with your company and your business and the man you are. It's amazing to see, bro. And you've seen an evolution in me, I'm sure. And so I think growth is a beautiful thing because if it's not growing, it's dead. So thanks for the love, bro. And I'm excited because to see you as a young man, you know, when I was a young man, but I was already an adult, as they say, right? I was grown. But to see you as a young man to where you are now, it just lets me know that you can tell a tree by its fruit and a fruit by its tree. So you come from good stock, you know, and your harvest is a representation of that. So yeah, man, it's all love.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I've had a blessed life. I had a lot of privilege and a lot of opportunity to learn. I just try to take the ball and run with it.
Yeah, you know, and I think we in the culture sometimes, especially with the melanated culture, I think we embrace the struggle so much. Like my son don't have to say that. Like my son don't have to say I got it out of the mud. I'm self-made. No. You're not a trailblazer. You're a pathfinder, and that's okay. I think sometimes we need to have pathfinders. Everybody don't have to be a trailblazer. Like that gives you a head start.
Yeah.
You know, and some children don't take advantage of the head start that they have. Like some children coming from the space you came from would have taken that and turned it into, you know, tragedy instead of triumph. And so for you to do that, bro, it just lets me know how chosen you are or how called you are to your chosenness to be able to stand in that and be convicted in that. Because everybody I'm real. I'm hard. I came from the struggle and it was all tough. It ain't always got to be that way.
No.
Why? I don't want my children to struggle, but I can still leave a legacy within them so that they know what discipline and diligence and hard work looks like. And how that's rewarding, right? It's because if you think about it, most people who come from where you've come from, who've had a level of opulence, they don't recognize what diligence and hard work looks like. You know, a lot of those children who come from privilege don't know what that work ethic looks like, bro. Yeah. So it's good to see that you're one of the chosen ones.
That means a lot to me, man. You know, I might have mentioned this to you off camera a couple of weeks ago when we were talking. Did I mention privilege guilt?
You know what? I think you did.
And I used to have that when I was younger, and especially having my foster siblings, brothers and sisters, and seeing the life they were born into and the life I was born into. I was like, man, we can't control how we were born and what we were given, but we can really control what we do with that. And I used to have, to be frank with you, a lot of privilege guilt, which it's like, I feel guilty for having this opportunity and having all these things. And as I've gotten older, I've been able to realize, hey, listen, you can't control what you were given, but you can control what you did with it and how you give back to other people. And I think that's something I want to impart on others, where it's like, listen, if you have been given an opportunity, and luckily, you know, with my parents, I saw them build it up. It wasn't success from the start. So I got to be there the whole time and watch them build it. We weren't given an allowance. I always tell people, like, you go after work, you go after school to work with your parents, you go on trips on the weekend, you grind and you work and you work and you work. And when you're done working, you work some more. And that's what I try to impart. So I'm glad it's come across that way, because I don't want to pretend to be someone I'm not. I've had struggles and I've had challenges in my life, but life's been great. I didn't have to get out the mud like a lot of people say.
Right.
Life was great. We didn't struggle for much or anything growing up, but we still have struggles. That life is challenging.
Absolutely. As long as you're in this realm, in this matrix, you're going to have struggles.
Yeah.
You know, no matter how high you vibrate, there's still always going to be something that you have to deal with, right? And that's why you always hear the term more money, more problems. But I think it's indicative of the more money you get, the more of the darkest version of you exist. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like I don't care to be the wealthiest person on the planet financially, economically in this. I care to be spiritually wealthy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And because if I'm spiritually wealthy, then everything else will be in balance.
Yeah.
You know, but that's why I tell people, man, you got to chase purpose and not paper. And I think when you're chasing your purpose, you can have a level of where you live a great life, but it's not too much. You know, it's not too, because man, sometimes you got to think, man, people who have a lot of money and they can do anything. Come on, man, you got $100 million. You start to do some things that probably don't line up with righteousness, because you feel like you can buy it all. You can have it all. So I think that, you know, there's nothing wrong with being wealthy, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's a way that you have to, it takes a special person to still stay righteous inside of being that powerful.
Yeah. Have you always been a poet with your words? Do you speak with, because I've known you for so long and I've noticed in the last few years, but it's not fake or forced at all. It's not like this, it's this persona. You have a poetry to when you speak. And when you just said you got to chase your passion, not your paper. I keep a quote list on my note apps for the last 6 years. Pretty much this whole episode is going to be on the quote list after this. But I'm just curious about that. Like, did it evolve over time? Do you study words? Where does this come from?
So that's great. That's a great question. There's a scripture that says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, or is God. So I had to recognize that there's a certain level of people that use words to keep you in bondage. So I've been called to use words to get us out of bondage. You see? Because the English language is the only language that's so full of ambiguity. And when you have this much ambiguousness inside of a language, then you don't get an exact thing. You know, and so I started to study etymology and linguistics and semantics. And it was funny, when I was in college, I got the nickname Shakespeare, but it really wasn't.
It fits.
It really wasn't from, you know, me being an orator. It was from my play. They called me Shakespeare because all I did was make plays. So it was a play on words like that.
Wow.
I didn't even know I would be a speaker. I didn't even though I was speaking at the time, I didn't know I would be an actor. I didn't know I would write books. I didn't know.
Plays in football you were making.
I was just football plays. And they were like,
That's
man, you
funny.
Shakespeare, because bro, all you do is make plays. And so it was like, it stuck. But then, okay, now making plays off the field has been literally the story of my life since I've left the game. And so I love diving into words, the prefix, the suffix, and the root word of a thing, so that we can get more clarity on what's going on and the why. Because I think if the word in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, then we have to start recognizing words and how important they really are. You know, and what do they birth when we use them? You know, I know a lot of church people growing up. When I used to go to church, there was another term that said the power of the tongue speaks life or death. So it's like the power of the tongue can literally bring you life or bring you death, bring you bondage or bring you freedom, liberation. So then I started, man, there's something going on with these words. And so it's been something to me, and I go into other languages with it, whether it's Arabic or Hebrew, or even I spoke French. I took French in school, so when I started looking at how different words line up in English and then they line up in another language, and I'm like, well, how does that? How can ambition, be the same thing in two different languages? But then when you say stop, in Spanish, alto, in French, arrête, and then in English, it's stop. Well, why is that different? But why is ambition the same? Why is black? What is black? Why does black mean colorless or white in another language? But in this language, it means the total opposite. So I think words are real. I think they're very important. I think once we start to really recognize the words that we speak, that'll give us a level of lifting the veil, if you would, that we were, I guess, not privy to, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense, man. Words have power. Affirmations, manifestations, it goes a long way. Telling you that you believe in yourself, saying that you love yourself, saying that you love others, it really goes a long way, man. So for today's interview, I want to break it down. I want to go through your whole life's journey of because, man, you've done so much in your life. I want to kind of dissect each part of it. Okay. But let's start with this. Present day. What's a day in the life, a week in the life look like of Stevie Baggs? How do you spend and manage your time right now, present day?
Present day, when I first rise, the number one thing I do is I pay homage to the Most High. For me, that's Yahweh. I say my affirmations, and when I get on about my day, the first thing I'm going to do is take care of my spiritual health, my physical health, and then I'll take care of my economic health, right? Then after that, I can give back. I can, do things with the children. Like, I can do that afterwards. But I have to take care of first my spiritual health, my physical health, and my economic health. And then everything else can fall into play. And when I say that, I think there's a level of stewardship that we miss sometimes, because sometimes you'll put your economic health before your spiritual health. And to me, that's crazy, right? And then you look at someone who will put their physical health before their spiritual health. Well, if you can be fit physically, but not fit spiritually. You can have money, right? You can have a PhD but no GOD, or you can have, you can have a master's degree but no knowledge of how to master your temple. And I think the way you get there is to first take care of the spiritual man first, and then everything else will kind of fall into place.
So how do you do that specifically? How are you taking care of yourself each day? You wake up, what are you doing?
So when I wake up and I say my affirmations, I take time for that. My spiritual health has a lot to do with how I operate in my physical health realm. So once I give thanks, people say meditate, people say pray, whatever you want to call that. Once I do that, then another part of that therapy and that medicine for me is whether I go to the gym, whether I go cycle on my bike, whether I go hiking, whatever I'm doing to take care of releasing and exercising my demons, because we all have them. We all have a higher and lower vibration or even a circular vibration of that we have to unpack.
Yeah.
And so for me, doing that kind of, look, if I'm sweating out toxins, I'm not just sweating them out physically, I'm sweating them out spiritually.
Yeah.
So those two kind of go hand in hand for me. But I always make sure to be mindful of keeping spirit at the forefront, because anytime you put the physical side at the forefront, now that turns into vanity.
Yeah.
Right? That's at least for me.
One thing that I want to dive into more is, I think a lot of times you're a man's man, Stevie. So people look at you, handsome, strong, money, success, life just looks great for you. And that's not the case. You and I have talked separately. You face your own battles. You're saying that you're exercising your demons. What are the demons Stevie faces like? Because at this point in your life, you've made it in kind of every area you want to go to. What do you face in present day? Because a lot of people have misconceptions that you guys don't deal with stuff. Oh man,
that's a great question. So the demons, they come in different forms and they come in different facets, right? So now a demon could look like like my daughter doesn't live with me. So that could be a demon, right? Like, dang, man, I wish my baby was with me every day. Now my son is with me, but now my daughter's not here with me. So that's a demon. Or the demon of procrastination, the demon of stagnation, or the demon of who are you connecting with. Like, there's so many different forms of these lower vibratory energies that attack you daily. And when I think people don't recognize, when the bigger your light, the more that stuff calls and chases after you. So that's why you have to be more intentional, more grounded, more secure and concrete in your purpose. Because as soon as you lose track of that, then now you become susceptible to anything, And so, yeah, there's the demons, if you would, right? That lower energy, the dark nature, is something that's already in us. It's in all of us. The Most High didn't just create light. The Most High created darkness too. And I think people don't embrace. I've been saying this lately. You have to embrace the darkness, because you are in total darkness before you come to the light. And then when you get in the light, you're in total darkness again. Think about that. So as a baby, you're born, you're in the womb, you're in total darkness, but you have some light in there. You have some water, you get some food, but you're really in darkness with these eyes. When you come to the light with these eyes, now you're facing straight darkness. This world is full of straight darkness. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we're born into sin. That's what that meant. So when you have a bigger light spiritually, and you're coming into a realm physically that's promoted and loved by darkness or wickedness, man, you have to really do a work to stay grounded.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to lose. It's easy to lose yourself. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I answered the question specifically of what those demons are specifically, but I think it's a holistic thing, right? They come from every angle. The dark nature calls you on every angle. And it's like, if I'm not fortified, and if I don't have the right armor on, I can get taken out.
Yeah.
And sometimes you gotta fall. You can fall, but just don't fail. You know what I mean? Like, you can fall, but don't fail. So I came up with this thing the other day talking about your time being your seed. Your seed is your time, and your time is your seed. So wherever you placing your time, that's where you're planting a seed. So if you're planting, or if you're putting your time into something, people, places, and things that don't reflect you or can't manifest the harvest, then you're doing yourself a disjustice, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing things that are upright, not right, but righteous. I think a lot of the times we want to be right, but we don't recognize it's about being righteous. And I say that a lot because we live in a world right now where by the laws of the land, you could be right doing anything and it's not righteous.
Yeah.
That's real. And let's think about it. If you say the only way you know who's in control in this realm is based upon who you can and can't criticize. So whoever you can't criticize, people, that's who's running things. All right. So now, if you say anything against that particular energy, watch what happens.
Yeah.
So, we are really in a spiritual battle. In the spiritual battle, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. We wrestle against spiritual principalities and wickedness in dark places, right? But they're in high places. Well, what's the highest place in your body? That's your mind. So your heaven and hell is created in the mind. If you look at the head, H-E, heaven, head, your heel is hell. So wherever you walk your feet, you could be walking in the hell, or you can use your head to walk your heels into heaven. And so it's there, man. Because if I control the mind, Jay, whoever controls the mind controls the man. So if you're allowing your mind to be infiltrated and seeds to be planted in your mind, bro, It's like, I mean, you'll always be in bondage. So that's why I say your time is your seed. What are you spending your time on? Where are you planting your seeds at? Because wherever you're doing that, that's going to be your harvest.
Yeah.
So a person who spends time in the gym, what kind of harvest do they create? Most of the time, they create a good physique, or they're in shape or whatever. Like, right?
Yeah.
The person who's spending time doing things that they know go against their higher self, what happens to them? It's a reflection. You can see it. So yeah, and this is no judgment. It's just what we deal with in this realm.
Yeah. It's just part of life, man. And no, I think you did answer the question in a meaningful and depthful way. I appreciate that. So you take care of your body, mind, and spirit when you start the day. Present day, how are you spending your time professionally? Because I know you work. I mean, you do a lot, man. So tell the listeners.
Okay, so as an actor, I'm an author, I'm a speaker, real estate. I run a nonprofit called Cedar Foundation, and I'm in a time, and we're in a season right now where things are changing. You know, of course, at TV film, we've been on strike for a number of months now, and I have a logistics company inside of that industry as well. So my bus, you know, has been sitting. I've been sitting, you know, as an actor, as a performer in that space. And so I've had to, you know how people say they had to pivot during COVID, they say pivot. I say Euro step. Which I had to, you know what I'm saying? Because, bro, for real, it's like, it's been real because when when you're missing so much coming in every month. Yeah, I had the Ginobili, the boy, you know? And so it's been real. And I think that the refinement, though, the purging, that's all a part of being able to, when you're at the mountaintop now, you are more fortified.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about earlier. It's like, I think that we don't embrace the darkness.
Yeah.
We don't embrace the pain and the process and the purging. We have to embrace that.
Yeah.
Because you can't get to your purpose without pain, process, and purging. That's just where I'm at with it, bro. And so, yeah, I'm not defined ever by what I do anymore. Yeah. I left that when I left the NFL. See, my NFL now is newfound life. The Now Forever League. That's the NFL I play in. Because if you go to the Hall of Fame in the Now Forever League, then that means you've really impacted some lives.
Yeah.
Nothing against it, but damn, just running up and down the field for somebody. Like, that's why I wrote my first book, Greater Than the Game. I didn't even recognize what I was really saying at that time.
Yeah.
But being greater than the game was not just saying, oh, I'm better than being a football player. No, being greater than the game is being greater than the game that society's played on you. Being greater than the game is being greater than being defined by what it is that you do that gives you a paycheck.
Yeah.
Come on, man. We got to understand that we are way more important than being validated by a check. That's crazy to me, but that's the reality of the world that we live in. That's what's been projected upon us.
I could totally be off here.
Let's talk to me.
But it seems like the shift that you've had in your life is your self-worth comes from within, where I feel like your whole life you're probably judged as an athlete. You got to perform here. You got to do this. You got to do that. But brother, I can just see like the love that you have for yourself now, and it makes me happy. Is that on track a little bit?
Bro, you hit it in the nail on the head. Because self-love, I'll say it like this. It's offensive to people when you love yourself.
Yeah.
It's offensive because they don't love themselves.
Well, what's crazy is the love I'm talking about you have is not narcissism or egotism at all. Because we know those people. And that's okay. They're kind of on their journey. But what I'm kind of hearing from you is like you have a renewed purpose and mission for your own life that you set for yourself, and you're not letting society's standards set the bar for you.
People call you self-centered when you get centered in yourself. When you get centered in self, people will call you self-centered. Right? Well, dang, man. In order for you to overcome, what do you have to do? You got to come over.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. And so once you start allowing people to define your value for you, and you do it for yourself, because when you know your value, you know your worth. That's the problem. Most people don't know their worth, so they never get to find out their value. And it's only based, most of the people base their value on things. They base it on people, places, and things. The most important thing is, I don't want to be remembered as a noun. I want to be remembered as a verb. A verb. Somebody that had action. Somebody that made sure that it wasn't just about what I said with my mouth, that I was a reflection of what it is I was talking about. Right? Because I'm not going to get in front of people and talk about something that I don't practice. That's not who I am.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't mean I'm flawless, but it means I'm faithful to my purpose. I'm faithful to my purpose, bro. And that's what I'm married to. I had to recognize that I have to be married to purpose before anything else. If you're married to your purpose, your children, your spouse, any friends, relationship, business, that it'll all fall in line.
Yeah.
But if you're not married to you and the purpose that you were given first, that self-love in that space will give you a liberation that surpasses any amount of money.
What's your purpose now?
To use what I do, my light, to help people think different.
Yeah.
And you don't have to think like me. I just want you to think like me. I decided to think, and that's what changed my life. Like we live in a society, a system, establishment, a culture that teaches you what to think, but they don't teach you how to think. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And anytime someone wants to control how you think, you have to, hold on, man. I don't know. Something ain't right here. And this is why people will hold on to tradition over truth, because they've been taught what to think. They will hold on to religion instead of righteousness because they've been taught what to think, bro.
Yeah.
But when you taught how to think, you're like, man, hold on. I surpass, bro. I'll tell you this, and this might offend some people. I surpass having faith and having belief. I don't have that anymore in the Most High. I know that the Most High is real. I no longer have faith. I can have faith that my business is going to do well. I have faith that I'm going to make this flight, right? I believe that, I'm fly. I can believe that. But I know that I'm not self-created. The only things that in life that you don't know are things the only things you have faith in are things that you don't know. The only things that you believe in are things that you unequivocally don't know. So let's go to nature. You fall off a building. Do you believe you're coming down or do you know it?
I know it.
Go to the beach. Do you believe that tide is coming back and you have faith it's coming back, or do you know? See, those are all things that can only happen through the Most High, whoever that is to you. But there's a power and an entity that controls that vibe. Just like in our bodies, like we have an external environment and we have an internal environment. So our autonomic nervous system. Hey, y'all, if you a bad mother, tell your heart, hey, heart, stop. Raise your hand if you can make your heart stop. Can't. Tell your pancreas and your liver, colon, turn off. You bad, right? That's how you know there's a universal God. That's how you know there's a supreme being, because I'm not in control of that. So that's what I know now, and I no longer have faith in. And when I graduated from that space, it took me to another realm.
Yeah.
It took me to another realm, bro. And my relationship with the Most High is now really that. It's a relationship. It's a reality. It's not a religion anymore.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy for you, man, because I can tell the spirit's been renewed, and you've always had this amazing energy, and it's really just risen to another level. Let's go back in time, though.
Let's do it.
All right, let's go back. I know you were born in Pompano. Okay.
Yeah. So, I was born in Fort Lauderdale. But raised in Pompano, though, really, because that's where I was at. I mean, the hospital I was at was Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
But real talk, I'm a Pompano baby.
We're both Fort Lauderdale boys.
Broward County. Stand
yes,
up.
Sir. Yes, sir. Tell me about just life growing up, man. What do you remember from childhood?
Bro, I remember love. I remember church. I remember getting spankings. I remember getting a punishment. I remember my cousins. I remember having both sets of my grandparents, even though it wasn't like super functional as I probably would have wanted it to be. I think that, I remember discipline. My parents didn't play, man. They set a standard. And the beauty and the standard that they set was that they were so young, bro. My mom was 18 and my dad was 17 when they had me. They were babies, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I, as a parent now, I have so much grace for them because I recognize the inventory that they lacked.
They were kids.
They were babies, man. So, on one end, I'm like, wow, they did their thing. And on another end, I also recognize that I was also chosen, and I have to stand in that space because, growing up, man, every day wasn't Sunday, but it was definitely more good than bad.
Yeah.
I think the love outshadowed the times when the lights may have been off, or the love outshadowed, the times when you might have had to open the oven to warm up the house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when it was on cold day. Like I think the love outshadowed that. And me growing up outside looking in, a lot of people in my family and in proximity to us, they thought that my mom and dad were just like creme de la creme. They were like the model family that everybody wanted to emulate, for real. But I think that that life gave me such I have such an affinity for how I grew up, and I just want to create, that in a more more tonic form.
Yeah.
For my children. And what is toxic and tonic is based upon the beholder, the eye of the beholder, right? But I'm just saying, like, I didn't grow up with a lot of trauma. I grew up with a lot of love.
Yeah.
And so I can tell when I connect with people who had a lot of trauma, what that looks like. And I have empathy and sympathy for that because, like I said, every day wasn't Sunday, but it was more good than bad. Yeah. I had my traumatic moments, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it wasn't something that just took my soul.
Yeah.
Or took my innocence as a child. I never had to deal with that type of trauma.
When you think back on your childhood, because as a man, now I'm 29 years old, I think back to some key moments in my life that really kind of shaped me, where it's like, all right, this happened, this kind of put me into where I am today. What kind of memories do you think of, like, as a kid, teenager, that really shaped you as you grew up?
My parents got a divorce when I was 14. So we left Pompano and moved to Orlando. And so I don't know why my work ethic was so strong. I mean, I do know because I couldn't even go play my little league football games before I either cut the grass or we cleaned up. Every Saturday, my brother and I, we had to do that before we go do anything else.
Yeah.
And I think that level of discipline was great. But I think what shaped me was I always heard my mom say, be a leader, not a follower. Be a leader, not a, and that rings with me today. And I tell my children that every day now, have integrity. How did my mom even know that writing down your goals was important? Someone who didn't come from, she wasn't my mom, has an AA degree, and she got that after I was already an adult, and so why did she have the inventory to even instill that?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was more principle based, because like I said, once you come up with the love, now it's all about having principles as a young man. Like what principles, what morals are you standing on? What ethics are you standing on? Right? And I think a lot of the times when you're young, you're trying to find yourself, right? And so you kind of open yourself up to anything, but when you talk to be a leader, then you just don't say yes to everything.
Yeah.
Right? And you start to have integrity behind, your word, and hey man, I'll show up, I'll be here, I won't, and so I think that's what it was for me. It was principle. That's when my principles were really started to root, if you would.
That's amazing that your mom had that intuition to know, because you're right. Being parents that young, if you're not equipped with that knowledge, that's tough, man. So your parents divorced at 14. Did you go with your mother or father?
I went with mom.
Mom. What about your brother?
My brother and I went with mom. Yep. Yeah, we went with mom. I mentioned inventory before. Your inventory, when you increase your inventory, you increase your territory. And when I say that, like you said, man, I love words. And I think that you have to forgive people for not having inventory. And when you get to a certain level of awakeness, sometimes you could be too high and too holier than thou, right? And not really recognizing, bro, at one point you didn't have the inventory that you possess right now. I have so much grace, man, for my parents for that. And once they increased their inventory, they were able to increase their territory. They were able to feed more into us. But now I feed into them.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's the beauty and that's the reciprocity, that law we talked about earlier, in that type of exchange. And yeah, the life that we live, man, it could be so beautiful if we just pay attention to the details.
Yeah.
If we just pay attention and say, yeah, man, I see where you coming from, even if I'm not convicted in what it is that you're doing. I can see where you're coming from and still stand on my values and my ethics and my moral. I think those principles that we were talking about earlier, all of that stuff, I think when you get that at a young age, that, man, it's hard for you to go against the grain.
Yeah.
When you get real love, real principles, real values, we don't have that anymore. And I mentioned my mom because the woman is the first teacher of the child. If you want to know the state of a nation, look at the women. If you want to know the future of a nation, look at the men. So the nation is messed up right now because the women, allegorically, the fall came through Eve. So the rise has to come back through Eve. That's real. So if we take a look at the way young people killing one another right now, if we take a look at the drug use right now, if we take a look at, what's going on online, on the internet, on the web. Look at the word web, net. You're in the net, you're in the web. If you look at everything that's going on, bro, the reason why our people are in such bondage is because when you go back to look at the woman, what was her trauma? How did she teach? If she didn't have the inventory, she can't give it to him, bro.
Yeah. That's powerful, man.
Increase your inventory, you can increase your territory. So our nation needs to increase that. We need to increase that. And I didn't mean to cut you off, but bro, I think I hope that I'm articulating this in a way where people can pick up what I'm putting down, honestly, because I never want to degrade women. I don't want to degrade men. But when men start standing on their principles, when women start standing on their divine feminine principles, men on their divine masculine principles, that's when we can change the way this world is right now. Because if you got to be asleep to not feel the silliness that's going on in this world right now, the chicanery that's going on in the world right now, you have to be almost under a rock not to see it and feel it and hear it and smell it and taste it. What are we doing to reverse it?
Yeah.
Because the people who wake up every day to make this world a worse place, they don't take a day off, so we can't take a day off. So when I say increasing our inventory, that's holistic, man. That's spiritual first, physical, economic, environmental, social, political, educationally, because we live in a 5-power structure system: political, economic, education, social, and spiritual. And even though I said spiritual last, of course, I've been mentioning that first. But politics is really politricks. Education is not meant to educate. It's meant to assess you and separate you. Economics is we're taught to spend our money on everything frivolous. You'll go buy a Land Rover, but no land. Crazy. I've been there. I had a Range Rover, bro. I had a Range Rover 2006. In 2006, I was playing in the CFL. I got cut, and I was on practice squad, and I was living in my Range Rover, bro, because they were no longer paying for my hotel room. This is in the CFL. I call the CFL Can't Fund It League. The CFL, shout out to CFL. I learned so much. I had a great time in Canada, man. Some of the best people on the planet. But so politically, educationally, economically, socially, we're separated. We just get separated by anything. Yeah. CNN, Fox, whatever you want to call it, race, economics, church, fraternity. It's like crazy. When the last time I checked, that sun rise on everybody. Good, bad, and indifferent. And then spiritually.
Yeah.
So the 5 power structures are very important for us to recognize. But once again, the one that trumps everything is spiritual for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So jumping back to your story, because I'm always fascinated with how people were raised. Going back to the teenage years, you mentioned at 14, your parents divorced. You went with your mom and your brother. As a grown man now, with your knowledge, what do you think how'd that impact you at that age?
Bro, it's hard. It's hard to say, man. I mean, in some instances, I can say we didn't miss a beat. I didn't miss a beat.
Yeah.
And I got exactly what I needed to get. And then in other instances, I will say that, damn, not having pops there was real. And it was.
And how far apart were y'all? You went
3
to Orlando?
hours. So we was 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hour drive, and he was going through his own thing, right? He was fighting his own demons. You see what I'm saying? It's like, this is why I have so much grace for people, especially my parents, because they were babies. They were still young, man. When I was in the league, my mom was my age now at 40, 41. She had you know what I'm saying? And so I got, my daughter is 9, my son is 2. Like, so it's a different dynamic there. Still growing. In Hebrew, a man is not a man until he's 40.
Yeah.
So imagine if I would have just given my dad a hard time for him not being there or for certain things that he didn't do. That would be crazy.
Yeah.
On my behalf. That would not be intelligent. Because my grandmother, quite frankly, didn't have the inventory to give to him. Like, you see, this thing keeps going on and on. So, in ways, bro, I didn't miss a beat having pops there because I got what I needed to be who I am. But in other ways, I did. I dealt with fighting and, I dealt with girls and I dealt with drugs. I dealt with it all. Growing up as a teenager, you're gonna, you see it.
Yeah.
And I mean, what the children see today is just, a more technological version of what we saw during our time.
It's on the phone now instead of being in person on the streets. Yeah.
Exactly.
So at what point, were you always an athlete or did it grow over time or athletics was always your...
Always. I was always an athlete, bro.
Yeah.
I played football, baseball, basketball, 7 years old, all the way on up. And there was pockets when I didn't play, but it was always there. Now, I didn't always know I was as good as I was. When I got to high school, when I made All-State, and I'm like, okay, dang, you make All-State in Florida, first team, and you break the Florida single season sack record. And I thought I was going anywhere in the nation because of that. Well, ended up going to Bethune, which ended up being a tremendous gift in and of itself because it gave me an opportunity to attend an HBCU and be a part of that culture.
Mm-hmm. Where's the college? Where's Bethune?
In Daytona Beach. So I've been a Florida boy. It was from, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Excuse me, until I moved to, I went to Detroit in 2004. And then 2005, came back to Jacksonville and finished my degree at Bethune. I was on practice squad. But I was, even in 2005, I was still in Florida. I was in Jacksonville. Yeah. So it's like, I've been in Florida. It was Florida, everything. And then imagine leaving Florida and having to go to Winnipeg, Manitoba.
No, I get
like, bro. When I heard Winnipeg, when I got signed by Winnipeg, I literally thought in my mind I was gonna see like Eskimos and like it was just.
You probably thought it was at a real place.
Seriously,
listen, man. Florida's its own. My wife says Florida's its own continent. Okay?
No, it really is. Bro.
It is. Okay, so going back to high school, like, you know, so you were an all-star there. Like you were killing it. Was there ever a point like? Because one of the things I want to do on this show is, I think it's very hard for people to achieve stuff they can't believe in themselves. They can't manifest. Like if you don't believe in something that you can really make it happen, it probably won't happen. Mm-hmm. So at that age in high school, what's going through your mind at that point? Like, I want to play at the NFL. Do I have what it takes?
NFL wasn't on my mind. Being All-American, making All-State, All-Conference, getting a scholarship.
Got it.
That was those were the goals that I had written down. Had them written down. I vividly remember in our apartment at the time, because when we moved from Pompano, we moved from the house to an apartment. I remember there was times when Sega Genesis was back then.
Shout out Sega.
I remember a time we pawned the Sega games and the console. You know what I mean? And my mom, she ended up doing very well in Orlando, working in sales and everything. She did her thing, but at that time it was just rough. And so I remember having my goals, and I wrote them down, bro, and I used to look at them every day before I got up.
Wow.
You know what I mean? All-American, All-State, lead it.
You're in high school this time?
Lead it. I was saying lead the state in sacks. I didn't even know what I was writing down, and it ended up happening. It just ended up happening. It was just, I mean, I didn't make All-American, but, you know, most of those things came to fruition.
Yeah.
But the specificity in it, I was just like, get a scholarship. Well, get a scholarship where, bro? Where do you want to go? So that's why I tell people when they write something down or when they have goals, the prefix to authority is author. So whatever you author, you give authority for it to come to pass. But you have to have specificity in what you're saying so that you can manifest and move forward more. You know, you can really move with intention to those things that you want. And so that was just me being a neophyte at the time. I didn't really recognize what I was saying and how I was moving. But I got a scholarship offer, but it wasn't to the schools that I thought I was going to go to. I thought I was going to go to Florida State. I thought I was going to go, UF, UMs. I thought I was going to go somewhere big, and I wanted to stay in Florida, of course. But I ended up going to Cookman.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't always work out how you think it's going to. It's typically how it's meant to work out. So what do you remember from college? What was the difference between high school football, college football, and HBCU football and the lifestyle?
Yeah. We had more students at my high school than I did at Bethune.
Wow.
Okay. So I go from 3,300 students to 2,500 students in college.
Because the high school is public, college was private.
Bethune is a private, right?
It's different.
And being an HBCU, like the lack of resources that we have and had at the time, and that are still present, it was like, it's mind-boggling to know that I was able to do what I did on and off the field, considering the lack of resources that we had. And that's why I tell people, when you really want something, it doesn't depend on your resources. It depends on your resourcefulness. What is your resourcefulness? Like, and you have to leverage that when you on the grind, and when you have a vision and a goal at mind, you have to leverage your resourcefulness, because unfortunately, like I mentioned earlier about the person that has $100 million, when you have resources, you kind of lose your resourcefulness. That's real. Because I don't need to have it anymore, because I could buy whatever I want. Yeah. So my resourcefulness is limited. But when you have resourcefulness, and you can keep resourcefulness even in the midst of having resources, now you're a different type of person. Yeah. You're a different type of individual. But Bethune was great because it built my resilience. When I got to the league, I remember my first time in an NFL locker room, and I was like, You mean to tell me I get as many Gatorades as I want? It was just something as simple as Gatorade, bro. I didn't even understand it. At Bethune Study Hall, now I'm a 3-time All-American. I'm the captain on the team. You know, I'm him at Bethune. One Gatorade, bro. Sometimes one of the coaches might sneak me 2 because I'm Baggs. But bro, this is what I'm talking about. I'll give you a prime example. The night before the game, a home game, we would have pizza and a 2-liter soda. Imagine playing on that, bro. I didn't even know. You just going with the flow. You don't even know how ignorant it is to actually fuel your body with pizza and a 2-liter soda. Going back to inventory, the coaches didn't know. You couldn't know that giving me a pizza would be more detrimental to me the night before game and soda. You couldn't have known that and still giving that to us and expected us to play at a high level. Think about that, bro. You know what I mean? So all of those things looking back, it's like, dang, I can't believe I even did that.
Yeah.
You know, I can't believe I even made it through all of that and still produced at such a high level. If I only had this, if I only had the information of like the information we have at Progressive with integrative medicine and, you know, how to be able to, consume the proper things, the nutrients for your cells on a cellular level to make you recover faster. Come on, bro. So that's like Bethune, and I don't want to talk. It wasn't just all bad, but these are all the things that stuck out. It's things that helped me build my resilience.
Yeah.
It helped me appreciate when I did get to the next level, how to really take advantage of the things that I didn't have at that level. And, I mean, I don't even know who to blame. I don't even think it's anyone to blame because people always want to find out who's to blame for that. You can't blame someone who does not have the inventory.
And you know what else, man? And I've really had to learn this over the last couple of years because in my life, man, I demand excellence from myself always, as you do too. And I demand it from others. And I had someone sit me down one day and they're like, you can't expect out of others what you expect out of yourself.
That's real, bro.
And that was really hard for me to understand because, and you know who told me that? My wife, my mother, my father, my brother, people closest to me. They're like, you really need to chill out. You need to chill out because you can lead people, but, and I had a couple of employees tell me that too, where they're like, we're not you. We're not going to be like you. And thank goodness. Thank goodness
that's real.
You know, thank goodness they're not. And it's good for me to learn. But man, what you're talking about, I love that you have grace with your parents because, man, people just don't know. I mean, I think of a lot of people come to my mind with that too, where you're going to get mad at something for something they had no idea about that was passed on to them.
Bro, I'm not about to get
parents.
I'm about to get gray hair over the fact that you're upset. I'll be upset at something that you didn't do. When if I really evaluate it, you didn't even know that you don't even have the ability to do it.
You have no idea.
Bro, that right there will give a lot of people peace. A lot of conscious people. I will say this to everybody in the conscious collective. You don't feel alone anymore. You might be lonely, but you're never alone. Don't feel frustrated when people don't understand, or understand your mindset, your way of thinking, your way of doing things, the way that you've let go of the old and you're walking into a new, and you're like trying to bring everybody over with you, but they don't have the inventory, bro. Many are called, few are chosen. We gotta understand that. In technology age now, everybody's called, but everybody still ain't gonna choose. People are gonna still, they can hear truth right in their face. You can say to someone, Jay, Easter bunnies don't lay eggs, chickens lay eggs. What are we doing? And they're still going to do the same thing. You can say, respell Santa is Satan. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's right. They're still going to have a Christmas tree in their house. And listen, to each their own. But I'm just saying, like, you can say something to someone, the blue in their face. Fast food is not real food. You can tell someone this, but they're still going to do what they want to do. And I stopped getting stressed out over it. I stopped being upset because I had to recognize that everybody's not meant to grasp this thing.
And you know what else, man? Not everybody's ready, and it's not always the right time for them.
Yep.
You know, brother, I've been martial artist my whole life, and I'll never forget, we had an international tournament in 2015. It was USA versus Japan, and amazing tournament. And I made it to the finals.
Okay.
And I got disqualified in the finals in front of everybody. Okay. I did a couple movements that weren't right, and the judge disqualified me. Okay. Now, I'm not going to get into it because we had some beef about that.
All right.
But I'll never forget my sensei. So the next year, I won the tournament. And I'll never forget what he told me. And he basically said, he's like, your anger and your aggression is what held you back from winning today. So I went in there ready to kill. I was ready to attack. And being aggressive is what made me lose the tournament. 1 year later, I take that exact same aggression and I funnel it differently, and I win the tournament. And that always stuck with me that day because, man, me and my friends joke about it to this day about getting disqualified. But that was very embarrassing. I worked for years to get to that moment, and in front of everyone that I respected, I lose. I didn't even get to touch the guy. I got disqualified before the fight really even started. But it taught me a lesson that day. Like, I wasn't ready to hear it at that point. My ego was getting in the way. My desires, it was all about me. It was all about me. And that was a big learning lesson for me that day, man. Sometimes people aren't always ready to hear it. But I was given the knowledge time and time and time again. I just wasn't ready to receive the knowledge.
Bingo.
And that's a big one, man. So jump back to your story, brother. In college, because everyone's path to the NFL was different. How long were you in school? Was it like, all right, I'm going to go into the draft? What was that like?
No, I played as a true freshman. I led the team in sacks my freshman year. As a matter of fact, my first 2 college plays on defense were 2 sacks back to back.
I know that felt
so
good.
I'm thinking, oh, this is sweet. I'm about to kill this. Like, really? This is easy? And we were playing in Jacksonville Jaguars.
You were linebacker, brother? Just
outside linebacker, defensive end, 3-4 scheme. If people know the scheme, 3-4 guys, or like your a young guy now who's playing number 11 for the Cowboys. What's his name?
I'm having a mind.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. I love his game. But Von Miller's and of course the great Lawrence Taylor, my guy. Like that kind of that was the position I played, which I would have to drop back sometimes in coverage, but I just mostly like to go get the quarterback. Right?
Yeah.
But that was the position I played.
Okay.
And coming into Bethune, after I played well my freshman year, everybody knew that I was at least going to have a shot to go to the league. Mm-hmm. But I got so much better over the years until when it was my senior year, bro, it was literally like stealing candy from a baby. I was that good. I was that much of a student of the game. I made plays easily. It was easy for me. Football was just like literally easy. I can only imagine if I would have redshirted, had I come back another year and been even, another year older, how much more dominant I would have been.
Redshirt as a freshman?
Yeah.
Yeah, get that time to grow. Because, man, can you real quick speak on basketball and football is different from any other sport. It's a man's sport. You got to let your body, can you just talk about that a little bit? You got to let your body grow.
No, you do. I think you have to let your body grow. I think the most important skill in any sport that we do is the mental part of it, right? And I've been around some athletically gifted people, but because the mental acuity or an awareness wasn't there, they weren't able to flourish. And so when you can marry the mental side with being physically gifted, then that's when you have something special.
Yeah.
But I remember the second or third game of the year, because like I said, I thought it was sweet. I came in, I got those 2 sacks, and I'm like, okay, well, we played Morris Brown here in Atlanta, and I had contained. And I'm used to kind of like, okay, I'll run everybody down. Well, this running back hit the edge on me, and I was like, oh, this is real. Oh, no, you better tighten up. Right. And so it's like, dude hit the corner on me and he ran past me. And I was like, oh. So then it kind of let me know it's another level. You got to tighten up, dude. Like, and so, yeah, from that point on, I was able to really, really gauge the speed, the athleticism, and how different it was from the high school level. And then when you get to the pros, there's a jump too, right? But I think the jump in the pros, because everybody at that level has some form of athletic gifts, but it's more so the mental that takes you there. And not even just mental, remembering the playbook. Mental, like, man, are you comfortable? Are you playing free or are you playing scared? Because now your money's on the line. So now, you're playing timid because you don't want to make a mistake. And bro, you got to just play football. You just got to play football. Yeah. And it's coming from being a free agent as opposed to guys who were drafted. I've had many times where it was guys that were better than that. They ended up, making the team or, getting more playing time at the time because they got paid.
Yeah. So break that down for everybody. You finished your senior year. What happened between then and you became a free agent? You didn't declare for the draft?
Okay. Senior year, all the accolades. Like I said, 3-time All-American, Black College Player of the Year. So I won the same award as Jerry Rice, Walter Payton, and Michael Strahan. I have 40 quarterback sacks in my career, bro. I still hold an NCAA record for tackles for loss and forced fumbles. It was serious. So my two DBs, the DB that got drafted a year before me was Rasheem Mathis. He broke the record for interceptions. He had 14 picks in a single year. Then he gets drafted second round to Jacksonville. So if he's getting 14 picks, who do you think is rushing the passer? Then my senior year, a guy who was 1 year behind me was a guy named Nick Collins, who was a Super Bowl champion with Green Bay Packers. He was an all-pro. He hurt his neck, and so it cut his career short. But shout out to Nick Collins. He's coaching at Bethune-Cookman right now. He's a DB coach down there. Nick gets drafted in the second round a year after I leave. And I was bringing the pressure for him as a safety. Anyway, bro, I'm thinking I'm going first, second, third round. Like, I'm literally thinking I'm going high.
Yeah.
I played in a blue-gray game. I do well in the blue-gray game. Well, I'm training for the combine. And the year I came out was the year that they allowed Maurice Claret and all the younger guys from the big schools to declare to the draft. Well, that kicked out the small school guys like me. So I missed my combine invite. So I'm continuing to train for the combine. Guess what? I tweaked my hamstring. I was back home in Florida. I was training with my guy, Tony Sands. Shout out Tony Sands. And I tweaked my hamstring. My agent at the time tells me, don't go to your pro day. They're going to try to force you to run. It's going to be a bad look for you. I don't know. I don't have any mentorship. No one with inventory in this space. So I didn't increase my territory. 21 teams show up to a HBCU to see me, and I'm not there. 21.
Oh,
it's bro, you know how it's like unheard of for 21 people, 21 NFL teams to come to a HBCU, bro. Unheard of.
So they knew about you.
They knew, bro. And I was sleeping on myself because I knew I was good, but I didn't know it was like going to be 21 out of 32 teams show up to Bethune-Cookman. I'm not there. Here's the kicker. I'm the strongest linebacker in the draft that year. I do 225, 35 reps. Easy.
Get out of here.
Easily at the time. I could have just come, do my 225. I can't run, guys. They can see my physique. They can see my energy. They can feel me. And I'm straight. So not only do I, because that happens, I got blacklisted, man. That really, once again, what I saw was detriment, and an obstacle was just a part of my obstacle course. Because now I recognize why I didn't go high in the draft and why I didn't get all the things that came with my ability at the time, because I wouldn't have been ready to receive it. Yeah. I was spiritually immature. Good person, good heart, spiritually immature.
You think it might have blown up in your face?
I think so. I think so because, I just look at so many different other stories of other people.
Yeah.
And the layer between life and death, between success and failure is very thin. It's very thin. Excuse me, and I know that I could potentially would have been one of the guys that I could have had a bunch of children everywhere, not taking care of them, or could have drugs. Yeah. Or somebody jealous of you, could have killed. Like, you just never know.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, see, the people closest to you are blinded by your light. But guess who's closer to you than the other people? You are. So sometimes you're blinded by your own light. Mm-hmm. So I would have been potentially blinded by my light, that I wouldn't have seen the things that I need to do. See, that there goes the resources and resourcefulness. Now you get the resources, and you see it all the time with guys who get that, they get the check, they get the contract, and that same player is not there anymore.
You see that all the time.
All the time.
Man. I see it in the NBA a lot.
All the time, bro.
The NBA bag is different now.
It's much different. Very,
too
very
much.
Different.
Too much. It's
very different.
I see it, man. So what happens from there, brother?
So I go to. I never really even tell people this. I never even count Tampa Bay as one of the teams that I was a part of. But I went to rookie minicamp with Tampa Bay Buccaneers, John Gruden. It was when Warren.
What year is this?
This is 2004. That right after they won the Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl in like 02.
Yeah,
I think 02. But so you still got Derrick Brooks, Lynch, Sapp, Simeon, all those guys are still there. So I'm in rookie minicamp, and I look up. Derrick Brooks is my dude, man. Derrick Brooks is my dude, and I got to meet him, and I got to go through the facility. We were rookie minicamp, so we were there for like a week, and I'm thinking, okay, boom. So I didn't get the traditional free agency where I signed to the team right after the draft. The draft was one of the most, it was probably how you felt when you lost, got disqualified. I felt like I was disqualified from the league. And I'm like, bro, y'all are drafting dudes that I know aren't better than me. Jared Allen, remember him?
Yeah.
Him and I were head-to-head for the Buck Buchanan Award, which was the best defensive player in 1AA. So I was up for the HBCU Player of the Year, but then I was also up for the for the Division 1AA Defensive Player of the Year, and I came in second to him. We tied for sacks. He had 15 sacks. I had 15 that year. I had more tackles. We tied for forced fumbles. We both had 6, and I had more interceptions. I had 2 interceptions. He had none. I had a touchdown. I took one to the crib that year. It's like, I don't even know how, but that was the level I was on. Just Jared Allen, boom. And there's another award called the Ernie Davis Award, which Steve McNair won the same award in 1AA. Mm-hmm. Just give you, that's probably, Tony Romo won this award, 1AA. So it's like the best player that you probably didn't know of, or they hadn't really, I won that award with these guys. So once again, bro, I knew I had what it took to be on that level. But when I didn't get drafted, bro, it was sickening. It was like, bro, it just tore my heart apart, bro, because I'm like, dang. It was just another time, another failure as far as like football. Because for me, football was like always like, I knew I was good and I showed it on the field, but it would come down to an awards banquet, right? Like my freshman year, they gave freshman of the year to someone else at Bethune. I'm like, I led the team in sacks, bro, as a true freshman. What? Who did better than that? Right? And so then you go, and then there's, so all these different obstacles that I saw as obstacles, which I mentioned are obstacle courses. You just have to maneuver through them and keep going. And I remember I didn't recognize the power of stick-to-itiveness or the power of never giving up until like I was done with football and I had played on 11 teams in 10 years. 5 NFL, 5 CFL, 1 arena team. And I know you want to go through that, but I'm saying like I take it back to my childhood. I was playing drums in the church growing up. And I remember I was playing and then maybe the mother of the church or somebody would come kick me off because I messed up the beat or I wasn't on, Guess what, bro? The next week I was back on the motherfuckers playing them again. Bam, 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 bam. Yeah. It was just that type of drive. I would never give up. That type of, grit. Boom, boom, boom. And until I got to a place where I was good enough to play in the main service.
Yeah.
And I think I credit that type of drive to just something that was what was in me. It was just in me. Because I take that same energy into everything that I do. You know, it wasn't just about football. Back then it was the drums. And then in school, I wouldn't stop until I got my degree, or I wouldn't stop until I wrote my book. And then they say, well, you're not a real author until you write two. And then boom, we write the second one. And then, you know, just business. You know, running a restaurant was tough. You know, running a nonprofit is tough. And it's times when you just say, well, you know what? I'm going to go through this stress to give back. Come on, bro. I'm straight. I just worry about my own family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's, you know, I think a lot of people don't recognize what it takes to be great. Most of the time it's about not giving up, not stopping. So even though the draft went the way it went, and I didn't get the call, I didn't get drafted, and I didn't get a traditional free agent call, Tampa, hey, we'll bring you to rookie minicamp. They just wanted to see. Now, mind you, I played outside linebacker DN. They had me playing back linebacker. They wanted to move me back. They're like, your size fits traditional size linebacker, not a pass rusher. Bro, I'm a pass rusher. That's what I do. But I could still play LB, right? Traditional LB. So I did it. And then when I went to Detroit, I did it. They allocated me to NFL Europe. I hurt my shoulder in NFL Europe, Frankfurt Galaxy. Come back. I'll go to finish my degree at Bethune. I get a call from Jacksonville. I'm training so hard. I'm running on the beach every night, bro. Running 1.5 miles on the beach every night on top of my regular workout. I'm in such good shape. A week before Jacksonville called me, I get patellar tendonitis. They don't know. I kill my workout. I thug it out. I do my thing. They don't even know I have it. But I get there, and once again, I go to the training room thinking, well, I'm just going to get treatment. Just like, you know, I did in college, because I'm still going to practice. No, this is a business now. You go into the training room as soon as you get there, makes these people think you're trying to get a settlement. This thing is serious. Like, looking back on it and looking back on, like, I could have iced after practice. I didn't have to go get treatment, but I was just getting treatment just so I could be the best version of myself. I didn't know that they were looking at. So get cut from Jacksonville. Then boom, I go to Winnipeg. I'm in Winnipeg. I bought my first house at 21. I'm in Winnipeg. And when I'm in Winnipeg, 2006, I'm the best DN in the league in Canada at this point in 06. I know this. Well, they got 2 guys that they just gave contracts to. They didn't cut me. They kept me there on practice squad, and they paid for my hotel room, which I just told you earlier. The next year they didn't. I bring my Range Rover up there, and I'm living in my range. So anyway, I didn't play unless one of these guys gets hurt. Every game I played, 1 sack, 2 sacks, boom, boom. They don't want to release me from the team, and they were kind of hiding me so no other team would pick me up. It's crazy. Guess how much I was making every week on practice squad, bro?
Was this CFL?
CFL. You take a guess.
I don't know, $1,000, $1,500 a week?
500 Canadian, which by the time I brought it back to America, it was $423. I got a mortgage. I got a Range Rover. Right? Like, it's real.
Wow.
It's just the grind that people don't see. People see the glory, but they don't know the story, right? Of what. And so when guys hold out for contracts, I'm not mad at them, bro. I'm not. When these young boys are getting this money at NIL, I'm not mad. What I am concerned about is their financial literacy. What I am concerned about is them making sure that their resources don't kill their resourcefulness. Right? Because you already in the league, basically. If you making, the certain type of money, you already in the league before you get to the league. So why do I need to go to the league? And that's true. You don't have to. But if that's what you really want, sometimes I think your drive can be stopped. And that's why I'm appreciative of that struggle, of that pain, of that process, because that's what you see before you today. everything that I'm sharing with you about how hard it was, how many times I was cut, traded, released, laid off, got me set up for my relaunch, reload, and my takeoff.
Yeah.
And that relaunch and that reload is like, dang, man, why? Like to me, who, what, when, and where is all important, but why? Because so many people die and without knowing why they live. You know, and so it's the why for me. Mm-hmm. And so my why just kept being more cemented after that, because I was like, I know you didn't give me all this ability for me to not show it. But it was just literally for me to be able to tell a story on how to be greater than the game.
Yeah.
And how you can't be defined by what it is that you do or don't do for a check.
Yeah.
You know?
What's that conversation like when you're cut from a team? How do they treat that?
My first time being cut, I talk about this in my book in Woke. My first time being cut from the Detroit Lions, I'm jogging off the field and I just have a great practice. Bro, the sun is shining. I remember it vividly. I'm like, okay, this is about to be the last preseason game. I'm about to get my chance to do my thing. And we call him the Turk. And the Turk comes up to me and the Turk is like, Stevie, bro, I'm sorry, man. Like, gotta try to turn in your playbook. I'm like, oh, bro, damn. And like, you gotta think, once again, I come from like the last 6 years of my life. I probably have more sacks than anybody in the nation. Between high school, having 26 quarterback sacks, and really I had more than 40 at Bethune. And I'll tell you why. Back then, if you tackle a quarterback behind the line of scrimmage and they're running an option, they just called it a tackle for loss, not a sack, which was crazy. Or if they ran a draw, they called it a tackle for loss. Yeah. I had 36 tackles for loss my senior year, bro. At least 25 of them were on quarterbacks. But I got accounted for 15 sacks from a quarterback dropping back to throw the ball. So I really had 25, 26 sacks. Just giving you another perspective.
Yeah.
So imagine you have 25, 26 sacks. And then you get, you had the 26 in. So anyway, I'm at 60 plus sacks in the last 5-6 years. I'm the man in my mind, even though I'm a free agent. You're definitely not going to cut me. Bro, you get cut? My whole life flashed before my eyes, because now it's like, I really didn't know if I was ever going to play football again at that point. I don't know. So that conversation is like, bring your playbook. You go to your locker and you go put up all your stuff and your cleats, and you pack it in a freaking big black garbage bag, and you go to your hotel room or wherever you're living, and they get you your flight back to where you coming from. We used to have a thing. It's funny now. You know how on the airplane it says bing? We used to have a thing where when we knew a guy was going to get cut, we'll say bing. That's messed up, but
that's wrong, bro.
But bro, that's real. I'm just telling you how that shit went down, man.
Comedy through pain, man.
Bro, it's
you
real.
gotta laugh through the pain.
It's real, bro.
I appreciate you being so honest with this, man, because
yeah,
like when I look at you as someone that I've admired you for so many years, of just a man of resilience that has never given up. And I think it's really good for people that are listening and the young guys and girls out there to see, like, it is far from perfect.
Oh, man.
Far from perfect. And when I think about you, man, like, that's still just the beginning of your journey.
Yeah.
Of what you've accomplished.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But now I see going through that, it's what has set me up to where I am now.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that grind. I appreciate those valley moments now more than ever, because, that it's like, dang, man, sometimes you don't even know what you've accomplished. And I think because society makes us look forward with everything, boy, man, you can't go backwards. I I don't need to go back, but I do need to look back.
Yeah.
I can look back and see, because sometimes you have to encourage and inspire yourself to keep going, because it's like, it's only going to really come from within anyway. Inspiration is in, integrity in, intellect, insecurities. It's not called out securities. It's called insecurities. Energy. I spell energy INNER-G. It's energy. The most important things on the planet, words in the English language starts with IN. Your wife, your woman, she wants you to be intimate. I can't be intimate with you if I'm not first intimate with me.
Yeah.
So the journey is just so dynamic because you're going through the ebbs and flows of life, but you don't recognize that you're picking up different tools and you're picking up different lessons that you're going to use for later. Prime example, I don't know if you've ever heard this quote, but in school, you get the lesson and the test, but in life, you get the test and the lesson.
Oof.
That's just real, bro. That's what it is for me. In school, they give you the lesson and the test, but in life, you get tested first, and you're like, boy, I learned that lesson.
Yeah.
And when you're able to really grasp it, then it becomes something that you can use for your benefit.
Yeah.
And I think that's what all those hurtful moments, those moments when you're like, damn, man, you've seen it. You're in your space. You know that there's people in your space that can't hold your jockstrap, and you're like, bro, how did they get this contract? How did they get that? Is like, what are they doing? That's what I used to. Yeah, that's how I used to. I used to, and I had a bitterness towards it though, and I had to let that go, of course, because you can't receive anything when you're. Same example you use with getting disqualified, right? You can't receive anything with your hands balled up like this. No. You have to let go and then make room to receive more. Yeah. And when I started doing that, man, my life started taking a turn, and I started being able to, even though I'm passionate, bro, I have so much passion, I'm so aggressive when it comes to certain things. When I let go and I started practicing equanimity, I was able to be in a space where I didn't let my passion rule me. I rule my passion, you know, and I'm constantly growing in that area every day. Cause you know, as masculine men, you know, it's more important to not be an alpha or a beta male. To me, it's more important to be a sigma male, meaning just because I'm a lion, I ain't always got to roar. I can sit back. You know what I'm saying? I can sit back and let my presence do the talking. Now, if you want to come in the lion's den, you're more than welcome. Pull up. But I don't have to roar. No. And that's how you know the insecurities are in those who always feel that they have to roar. You know what I mean?
Oh, I do. I'm laughing, brother, because I experienced this last week. I experienced this last week, but it was funny. I was the one that didn't need to roar. I was on set and we were doing a video shoot, and I had this idea to create something, and we built it out, and it looked like shit. It looked terrible. Yeah. I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, I really fucked up. This is a big mistake. My team member, Zach, comes in. He's like, listen, this is what we're going to do. This was better. And I looked at it for 15 minutes and I was like, my idea is terrible. Let's do yours. And I got to step back. You know what I did the whole time, man? I smiled and I was like, I get to watch this man shine today. It's his time to shine. It's my turn to step back. And we made fun of me about it. Like, we cracked jokes about it and we're laughing. But the ability to trust, and you know what was really nice, man? I didn't feel insecure.
But bro, you took the words out of my mouth. But once again, there was another important word.
I would have, though, 5-6 years ago.
Insecure, not outsecure.
Insecure.
Because people want to project their insecurities on others, causing them to be insecure. No, you cause yourself to be insecure.
Yeah.
Right? When you grew into recognizing your value, you recognize that I don't give a fuck about any of that. I can be secure in me, irregardless of what you bring to the table. Your light doesn't dim mine. That's crazy.
No.
But that's real.
And you got to work. And when you're working towards a common goal, you got to lead, follow, or get out the way.
Bro, there's no traffic when you're in your own lane, right?
No.
So there was something that your peer brought to the table, or the person working with you brought to the table that you didn't have at that point in time.
I did not have it that day.
Okay. Have you ever seen a lion try to jump in the ocean to do what a shark does? No. Have you ever seen a shark try to go in the air to do what an eagle does? There's no traffic when you're in your own lane. And when you're operating in your level of excellence, you'll always shine. That might have not been your level of excellence in that time. That might have been some water shit. So the shark person got to deal with that.
Yeah.
Or that might have been some air stuff.
Yeah.
So the eagle on the team got to deal with that.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at that, man. And like I said, your light doesn't dim mine.
No.
As a matter of fact, when we bring it together, it enhances mine. And that's what we don't do anymore, because, you know, we end up being intimidated by another man. Intimidated, I-N. Bro, it's real. The prefix I-N or even E-N is a real prefix when it comes to recognizing that we have to go within instead of looking without.
Yeah.
And the problem is you always look without, and you're not looking within, so you can't ever see the true value in you, so that you don't discredit the value in someone else.
Yeah. I love that, man. And like I said before, I just appreciate you being honest, because you've been through a lot with the NFL, with the CFL, getting cut, getting added, getting cut, getting added. But what I look at you is the resilience. And that's what I want people to take away from this. So I want to keep going in the story. I want to transition to life after football, because you've done so much with that. Going through the 10 years in the leagues, it was 10 or 11 different teams.
10 years, 11 teams.
10 years, 11 teams. Again, what I see out of that is resilience. At what point were you like, all right, it's time for me to move on from this game and go into the next season of my life? Walk me through that.
I go to Baltimore. So let me say the story about how the last part of my career. I want to talk about that, because I go to Canada after being in Detroit, allocated NFL Europe, Jacksonville Jaguars practice squad. Now I'm in Canada, practice squad, struggles, boom, boom. Finally, bro. Well, 2008, I left Canada. I was like, I'm tired of being away from home anyway. I'm going to find another way back to the league. I was always trying to get back to the NFL. So I say, I'm going to go play arena. It's in the States. Boom, boom, boom. I'll ball out, and then I'll get back in the league. Go to arena. I hated arena, bro. Because it just, as a defensive player, it didn't sit right for me for somebody to be able to easily score 60 points on you, and you just got to be okay with that. It just, the game was just different.
There's no space.
It was just different, bro. I didn't like it. It was crazy. Anyway, so that was that. So I leave Orlando Predators. Now, though, bro, 2008, I get cut from the Predators, and I'm like, bro, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's over. I still had my locks at the time. So I was about to go to the barbershop and cut my hair off. I have a degree in international business. Bro, I'm just going to go get a corporate job, and I'm just going to say, fuck it. I'm done with football. I've tried, man. I turned over every stone. Bro, I get a call from Saskatchewan Roughriders. I come up there, and I finish the season out. The end of the year, I hurt my knee, like an MCL sprain or something. So I'm like, I ended on a bad note, but I made enough of an impression with the team and the staff that they brought me in next year, and I was fighting for a starting spot. So I get to training camp, I ball, I start, I lead the CFL in sacks. I make defensive player of the year, like defensive player of the week, like 6 times. So I should have been defensive player of the year. They actually gave it to my teammate, the other DN. Crazy. It was like a whole bunch of stuff with that. I beat him in every category, by the way. I just got to say that for the record. So then we both go back to the NFL. So now I go Arizona Cardinals. I ball out in the training camp, bro. I was like, I had a great camp. They sat me down for the first game of the season. They're like, we're not gonna put you on the roster, but we're gonna hold you until, the first game, whatever. Because as a veteran player, if you play the first game in the NFL, they didn't even know I wasn't even vetted in the NFL, but they just were thinking that. So they sat me down, and then they won the game that week against the Rams. So they said, Steve, we're gonna be good. We're not gonna bring you in. I signed to be the highest paid defensive player in the CFL, Hamilton Tiger Cats. I go there. The very next week, the Cardinals get beat by the Falcons. They get blown out by the Falcons. A rare blowout by the Falcons, by the way. I just got to say that.
Dirty.
Shout out to all my boys in the Falcons. No, just playing. But I'll say they call me back, bro. I can't get out of the contract
With the CFL
in Canada. The Cardinals called me back, and I can't get out of the contract. It was like, what, bro? It's just like, you do not want me to be in the NFL? Like, what's going on? What's going on here? So, bro, I go to Canada, I ball, I do my thing up there for that season. The next year, a guy comes in and a new head coach comes in. But I had a struggle in sacks that year. I think I had like 7 or 8 sacks in a year. But they had a new coordinator, new system, scheme, whatever. He asked me to take a pay cut. I say no. They waited until free agency to cut me. So now, once again, I'm cut again, bro. I'm like, yo, what is going on? So I go from being the highest paid defensive player in the CFL to a year and a half later, I'm literally out of football again. My agent at the time, which, by the way, I had 7 agents in my 11-year career, 7 sports agents. Nobody wants you, Stevie, boom, boom. I ended up firing him, and then I just called Ozzie Newsome myself with the Ravens. And I said, Ozzie, I'm ready. Just let me get a workout. I go up there. I run a 4.5 at 30 years. I was 30 years old, bro. I was like 30, 31. I ran a 4.58 at 30 years old, and they signed me. And I tear my quad, bro, in preseason. So, like, it's like, what, Harbaugh's like, Stevie, we're going to bring you back. I'm like, can you put it in writing? He's like, no. So I took the settlement. I got a accredited season for that year. I got 4 or 5 game settlement for the year. And they win a Super Bowl. Now, mind you, I didn't even talk about this. I'm on 3 Grey Cup teams in Canada, lost all 3 Grey Cup. Played in 3 Grey Cup games, lost all 3 Grey Cups. Then the quad, they win the Super Bowl. So all of these things were just things, right? And so I had to recognize that no matter what card I was dealt, that I was still a king. No matter what was going on, I was still a champion. Because your champion vibration can't be defined by a ring, right? It has to be defined by your drive, right? Your stick to it. So I'm just painting a picture of you, bro, even from that level, of how it went. And I just got inducted, man, last year. I'm so thankful. Shout out to the National Black College Hall of Fame Alumni Association. I just got inducted into the Black College Hall of Fame. And so that was dope. And so, once again, Jerry Rice, Walter Payton, Michael Strahan, those guys, those guys are all in that same thing. Yeah. Right? So it's like, it's good to still be recognized as one of the greatest to ever do it in HBCU football, right? And me knowing what I know about the NFL, the best players that ever played the game came from HBCUs.
What kept you grounded during this time, brother? That's a lot,
right? It's a lot.
Disappointments and just defeats to be dealing with. And your body, man, your body failing you is one of the hardest. It hurts my heart, man. It hurts my heart to hear about. What kept you grounded?
I just have always known that I was chosen. When I got to I haven't always known it, but when I got to a certain place to know my chosenness, I started standing in it, bro. And I think the more tragedy and the more trials and tribulations that came my way, I was able to be even more grounded in it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, there's no way I would be given all this light and not be able to use it. right? And so I had to lean in on that during those times of despair. Because it is, man. It's hard to stay grounded when you are going through that much disappointment. And it's hard to love something that doesn't love you back. So the game of football, I tell people all the time, the game of football don't love you back. You know, a paycheck ain't love. You know, being famous, that doesn't necessarily equate to love. So like you can get money, fame, and fortune from playing football, but your body, your mind, your spirit has all paid a price.
Yeah.
To be in that space. And so for me to have paid a price and played that long, and to even, you know, to not have what I thought I should have had from the game, you know, in the tangible space, it was disheartening. But knowing what I got on the intangible side is priceless.
Yeah.
It's priceless, bro.
So what do you do? Was the time with the Ravens, was that the final chapter for football?
It was the final chapter in NFL. After I tore my quad, I tried one more stint up there in Canada. I went back to Calgary. I was with the Stampeders, and you know, I just my quad couldn't get right. Then I started having knee problems because I was overcompensating, and it was just like it was snatched away. It felt like the Most High was saying, "Bro, let it go, bro. I got you." And the one thing that stamped it was that before I went to the Ravens, I'd done a TV show called Necessary Roughness, and it was my first time being on set as an adult. One of my buddies called me and said, "Bro, they're looking for real football players to play in this show. They need some like guys who actually played college or the pros." And I'm like, "Bro, I'm not about to come be an extra." At that point in time, I refer to background people as extras. And bro, I go on set. My first day on set, bro. They stand me next to the main character on the show, and the guy asked me, "Hey, you wanna read a role? And I'm like, you wanna read for a part?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." And bro, the rest is history. Like I had a small I had a speaking role. I even had to change the language. There's no such thing as a small speaking role, a small role. I had a speaking role, and then the rest is history. I got an agent, and I started really taking it serious. And then boom, now here I am 11 years later. I've been in 40, 50 different TV film productions, you know, SAG and series regular stuff and big time commercials. And it's just a beautiful thing because I would have probably thought I would have done an analyst work or being a commentator. But once again, there's a political thing that goes into that. Like you can be the most articulate person on the planet, but if you don't have a certain playing pedigree, right, those people aren't going to let you in. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not in the Hall of Fame or if you didn't have a big name or whatever, you're not getting a shot to do that. So, you know, TV film just came naturally. And you know, the TV film thing. So as soon as I got released from Calgary, which was the last pro team, I got my first speaking role on a Tyler Perry show called For Better or Worse. I played an officer. I was playing a cop. You know, I'll send you the footage. It's crazy. I was playing a cop, bro. And then it started rolling. Then it just started rolling. And really, up until 2020, acting was kind of like, I did it just because I could, but I didn't really like lock in. But when COVID hit, my speaking business took a hit. My nonprofit, my after school enrichment courses took a hit. So it was like everything that I was doing in person stopped. So the way we do our auditions, as you know, most of our auditions nowadays are taped and filmed. They're not in person. And so I was able to still audition. And then boom, I took off, man. Between 2020 and now, up until the strike, I probably booked in 3 years, bro. I've been on probably like 20 different sets.
Wow.
the majority, maybe 20, maybe 30, bro. It's been a lot. It's been like, it's been a lot, bro, since 2020.
What are some highlights of ones that you look back and you're like, man, that was special?
Underground Railroad was big with Barry Jenkins.
You were great. I saw some of that.
That was dope, man. It was a good experience because everybody on set, all the other performers on set, these people went to school for this. Like I'm on set with people who literally studied Stanislavski and Meisner technique. Like these people are on it. Then, you know, Cobra Kai, you know, it had its fanfare. And then, you know, I had done a film earlier in my career called Focus. It was a Will Smith film. And, you know, I came in through the sports side kind of because that was a football movie. But then I started getting getting opportunities through the football and through the stunt side. It kind of brought me into this. Yeah. And that's why I tell people there's many paths to righteousness, many paths. And so now with the expertise that I've gained and experience that I've gained in this business, I credit it to some of the things that I went through in football. I always tell people from the field to the real. It's from the field to the real, you know, and all of it is very similar. I've seen someone get cut like I did jogging off the practice field. I've seen someone get cut at a table read. Damn. You know what I mean? You just didn't cut it for that producer. You the casting director, the audition, you made it through all that. But that one main EP came in and they probably had a friend anyway that was waiting in the wings and they didn't like your performance at the table read and you gone. That's just like the NFL.
What advice would you give to people about rebuilding new identities? And before you answer that, it was funny. I was just listening to something a few days ago in prep for this interview, and this woman said, you should write an autobiography every 10 years.
I like that.
And I love that because I just turned 29 and I think back 10 years ago before I had any of this, my life was a lot different. So rebuilding identities, because I've seen it with people where they attach themselves to these athletes and the man or woman is only an athlete. Mm-hmm. And it sickens me inside. It's like, yes, that is something that they did, but there's so much more than that. And thankfully, like I know you on a very close personal level. So I look at you as Stevie.
Right.
I'm not like, oh, yo, look, he used to play NFL. Right. He was a football player. He was a CFL player. Right. No, like that's Stevie. That's my man. What advice would you give to people about building new identities?
When you have to always renew your mind. You have to always reinvent, I should say, yourself. Because just like a snake sheds its skin, just like a tree, leaves fall down, we have to have things that fall off and shed off of our life when we go to another level. So reinventing yourself is very important. Not being stuck in a box, you know, is very important. I think a lot of the times when you only are defined by the one thing, and I think in the world today, everybody only wants you to do one thing when we are a multidimensional people. So why would I only do one thing when I'm a multidimensional creature? I'm meant to do multiple things.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think when you start to grasp that ideology, it gives you more of a well-rounded perspective on how to live life, if you would, you know, for me. Yeah. So, reinventing yourself is very important. And for her to say writing an autobiography every 10 years is real. And the reason why I know that's real is because between my first book and my second book was around about 7 years or so. Mm. The growth I saw from Greater Than the Game to Woke was like, whoa. Like some of the things that I said in Greater Than the Game, I don't even use that terminology anymore. Cause I changed, you know what I mean? So she's absolutely correct. She's absolutely correct. And
when it comes to rebuilding the identity, man, I guess how did you take those steps? Because so you leave the CFL and the NFL. How long before things really kind of started to pick up for you to where it's like, all right, I've kind of found this new career? Because call it limbo, call it the in-between stage, man. That's where people struggle. And also, how do you know you're in that place? Because you talked about this earlier. Looking back, it's like, man, looking back, I realized I was doing this. Sometimes, man, we're so caught up in our own bullshit, we have blinders on, and we don't realize, oh, I actually am where I want to be or where I should be.
Right. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want, but I do have some needs. And sometimes where you need to be is right where you're at, but you don't overstand that because you can't step outside of yourself to see, okay, that's why I keep saying embrace the darkness, embrace the stillness, embrace the pain. You have to embrace these things because the moment you don't embrace it, it overtakes you instead of you overtaking it. That's what I would say to that. The way that I think we're taught to look at life, and I say this, we're taught how to what to think instead of how to think, and I always project an agenda. Because I think that there's an agenda connected to why and how people do things. And what I mean by that is, if you plant a seed in someone's head, the hardest thing to do is to get rid of a seed that's been well planted in the brain. So if someone's telling you something that's literally right in your face, you won't receive it to be anything but what's been planted in your brain.
Yeah.
And I had to unlearn and relearn, once again, my value and my worth in order to say, well, I got to be greater than the game. I can't just be stuck here. I can't just be depressed and in this space because I no longer play pro football, right? The beauty for me was being able to say, I can take the same energy as a 1%er, because that's what you are. If you make it to pro football, pro baseball, pro basketball, hockey, any pro sport at the highest level, you're 1%er, bro. If you take 50% of that energy and put it into anything else on the planet, you'll be successful. More importantly, you'll be significant. Because that's the problem. We've been taught to chase success and not significance. So when you chase significance, success will always follow that. It's just like chasing paper instead of purpose. If you chase purpose, paper will follow. If you chase significance, success will follow. If you chase success, a lot of successful guys that aren't significant, bro. A lot. Name one significant guy who's not successful.
Yeah.
Can't. And I think that's me knowing that was in me knowing significance was in me knowing that chosenness was in me is what made me not give up. Now, a lot of people don't know that they're chosen. A lot of people don't know that they have a light that needs to be shined to some. They think because you're a floodlight and I'm a flashlight, because your light's bigger than mine, that is no need for you. No, that's not true. There's going to be a point in time when the flashlight needs to be used more important than that floodlight.
How can people find their light?
Look in the mirror. If you're looking at yourself, you have a light. Your light is your purpose. Your purpose is your light. Light and life is synonymous with one another. There's no life without light. If you don't believe me, go look at the sun. If the sun don't shine, you have no way, no truth, or no life.
We're dead.
Without God's son, there's no way, no truth, or life. They just told you it was Yeshua. They turned the S-U-N into the S-O-N. Right? Once again, so it's just all relative, bro.
Yeah.
When you start to think about it, and we were talking about perspective, and I think perspective has a lot to do with it. If you're looking at a 6 and I'm looking at a 9, if you're looking at an M and I'm looking at a W, we're going to tell each other till we're blue in the face that that's what that is. And it's not until I come outside of myself and come around to your perspective and I'm like, Bro, I see the 6. You're like, Stevie, I see the 9. You can still be grounded in what it is that's your truth. Mm-hmm. But people say there's 3 sides to a story: your side, my side. Your truth, your side, my side, and the truth. I say it's your truth, my truth, and the facts. Because facts are inarguable. Truth can be argued because 2 things can be true. Yeah. But a fact can't be argued. We talked about inarguability, gravity. You might not call it gravity, but you fall off a building, you're coming down. Your heartbeat, the sun rising, the seasons changing. Those are all inarguabilities. Those are facts. Mm-hmm. So when you look at perspective in life and you get outside of just your own truth and you open yourself up to see what someone else is coming from, oh, okay, now I see why you think like that. There's where the empathy comes in. There's where, when I talked about earlier, that someone having a lack of inventory that you don't possess, you don't hold them accountable for that to the greatest degree. You got to know what you're dealing with. I'm not going to hold you. I'm not going to let your ignorance kill me. Don't get it twisted. But I'm not going to let your ignorance make me kill you though. At the same time.
If you could go back in time and either to the younger Stevie or even to the younger generation today, what advice would you give them, man?
I think the sense of entitlement for young people at every age, because we all have it as humans, sense of entitlement is just at an all-time high. I would tell them to check that sense of entitlement. I would tell them that the importance of discipline and like diligence is real. There's no harvest without planting a seed and tilling the ground. And if there is a harvest that comes to you without you doing it, it's a false harvest. It's GMO. You feel me? That's a genetically modified harvest, homie. So I don't want that. I want something natural. I want something real. So if you're going to get something real, you got to work for it. And I think the diligence and the sense of entitlement, they kind of go hand in hand. Respect. I would tell, I mean, I've always had respect, but I think that the most powerful respect is self-respect. The most powerful inventory is self-inventory. But I'm talking about that self-respect. Because if you knew what you knew at 29, at 19, then there would have been some different things going on. You know, because now you have a certain type of self-love for yourself that doesn't have to be defined by anybody else's opinion. Yeah. Back to that thing we were talking about with Prime. Opinion of you. Because your opinion of me is none of my business. Actually, it's not. Good, bad, or indifferent. It's none of my business. So, you know, don't, as a young man, I would tell young men, don't let anybody attack your masculinity. As you women, I would tell, don't let anybody attack your femininity. Because, see, the attack on masculinity is really an attack on femininity. Because the baby is in me before it's in her. Right? So if there's an attack on me being masculine, and then that makes the woman have to step outside of her nature, and now she's masculine. And so a over masculine woman to a boy, it'll make him feminine. And to a girl, so it over feminizes the boy and over sexualizes the little girl that she's raising. I mean, you can just look at the world that we living in and see. Look at all the rappers, the female rappers. Their lyrics are more vulgar than the male rappers' lyrics now. Where does that come from? What I just expressed to you. And that's why I said the women are the first teachers of the child. Right? The woman teaches the child to cleave. A man teaches the child how to leave. But because we don't have a village anymore, we don't have a village perspective and mentality anymore, those things those values are gone. And it's not even about having a certain religion or having a certain, no, it's about literally like walking in your divine masculine, your divine feminine space. That's being attacked on right now. Yeah. Because if like I said, if masculinity is attacked, then I could come take the women and children and do what I want. Because if I create a culture full of weak men, then I can do whatever I want to the women and children. That's real. What, bro?
I'm cracking up because you're making me think. What would you tell your son Power right now? Because he's 2.
Yeah, he'd be 2.
What would he listen to this years from now? What would you say to your son Power about kind of everything you just described? What's going on right now? What would you say to him?
I would say to him that the reason why you're great, the reason why you're amazing is because this is the mindset that you come from. I would say, Power, the reason why you've achieved what you've achieved, you've accomplished what you've accomplished, moments like this.
Yeah.
Because see, I get a chance to give him this energy every day. You know? And I think that if most young men had a chance to be exposed to that, it would be a different light. And that's why I say we got to go back to village. Cause some of us are better than others of us, but none of us is better than all of us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, bro? And that's why the child don't just belong to me. The child belongs to the village. So, you know, if my little nephew River is doing something out of line, I got to get on his ASS. Mm-hmm. Hey, you know your mom and dad don't play that. But we don't have that now because if you say something to someone else's child, even in your family, don't say that. Don't talk to my baby like that. What? Don't talk to your baby like that. Well, maybe your baby shouldn't be robbing cars in 3:00 in the a.m.
Yeah.
Right? Or maybe your child shouldn't be disrespecting his teacher like that. So it's like it's a circle, bro. Yeah. And we got a lot of work to do. And I think that's why this platform is so important. Your company's so important for the culture. I think that when you have dialogue like this, it lifts the veil, but it also shows you who is where they are. And if you're in here sleeping and you turn on the light and a person is sleeping and you turn that light on, they're like, oh man, turn the light back on. I'm going back to sleep. Man, that light hurt. And then the next person turns the light, you turn the light on them and they're like, man, I need to get up, but man, give me 15 more minutes. They go back to sleep. And then the third person, they're like, wow. And the light hurts, but I need the light. Mm. And they get up and go. So this platform is going to resonate with many people. This conversation is going to resonate with many people, but it's not going to resonate with everybody.
And that's okay.
Absolutely, it's okay.
That's okay.
I'm at more peace with it being okay now than ever.
Yeah.
Because I had to recognize, too, that when you talk eagle, it's not going to make sense to a chicken. Feel me? When you talking lion, a zebra don't understand what's going on. But I guarantee you that chicken is going to get out of the way of that eagle, and that zebra is going to pay reverence to that. I mean, that zebra is going to pay reverence to the lion.
Yeah. So,
you know, all this, you have to be a crazy person to say that ignorance is bliss. Only an evil mindset would have told you that. Only an evil mindset would have told you that we're all created equal. We're not. We're not. If everybody was created equal, everybody would be able to dunk that motherfucker like Kobe Bryant. And you can't. I'm sorry.
Nope.
Right? Let's stop with the BS. I think because the fairy tale is over. If you're still living in a fairy tale world, you need to let that go. We don't have any tooth fairies here. We live in a reality. And once the sooner we recognize that, the sooner that, those of us who have been called to respond accordingly to our calling will do so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And man, I think people care about what other people are doing too much.
They do.
You really need to focus on yourself. Like, don't get me wrong, help others, look out for others, but work on yourself.
The best speech I'm gonna give is the life I live. Because that's going to be more of an attraction to those who want to be like you or who you want to draw into you. Because you attract who you are.
Yeah.
Everybody always says, oh, no, I don't think you attract, I'm a healer. So I attract people who need to be healed. If you're a healer, then you need to probably be around some other healers because it's enough sickness, period, in the world. Okay? Yeah. No, you attract who you are, and you might be a healer, but you also might be deficient in the area of who you attracted. Now, I think when we look at karma, and we only look at karma from a bad perspective. Karma is also good. It's good karma.
Yeah.
Right? So if you attract who you are, we attracted one another, bro, because we're vibrating on a similar frequency. Right? I don't attract bullshit anymore. I deflect and I reflect. Mm-hmm. So if you come in with the bullshit, I deflect. If you come in with respect, I reflect. That was bars. But
Did you just make that up?
Just now, bro. But I'm saying, that's where it's at. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's where it's at. People do two things. They reflect or deflect.
Yeah.
And when you attract who you are, I think, once again, embracing that, because healing is not a destination. Healing is a journey. Mm-hmm. So we all have healing and growing and evolving to do. I haven't arrived. You haven't arrived. You know, we're constantly arriving. I'm on my way. Healing. Hey, what's up? I'm on the way, healing. Now, if the minute that you think you're healed, let that same situation, that same trauma come up in your life, and you'll know if you're healed or not. It's like having a scab and you pull that Band-Aid off. You'll know if you're healed when you pull it off.
Yeah. Because
if it's still hurting and burning, you're not healed from it.
Yeah.
You got some more inner work to do. But I just love the fact that when you do connect with someone who vibrates on your frequency, like, I want to give an example of male-female connection. When a male and female connect, and whether it's physical or non-physical, there's creation made. Now, when you procreate in the physical, you can make a baby, you can make a child, and that child can come out amazing. What do they call it when genetically people they do it on purpose? Like, I genetically chose you on purpose. It's a term.
I'm
not
sure the name, but I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Imagine the babies that we make spiritually when we connect with people. So you can birth toxic traits. You can birth toxic children in the spiritual world. You can produce trauma. You can produce toxicity. You can produce hate. You can produce jealousy. But then if you connect with someone who thinks like you and vibrates, you can produce triumph. You can produce, amazing things. When you graduate to the place where you're able to discern who to give your energy to in that space, that's when we'll help change the world. Because it's too many of us giving our ego energy to chickens. Mm. It's too many of us giving our light to darkness all the time. And you can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, you have to discern when to say, man, I can't give my pearls to the swine, as they say in the Bible. It's like, don't cast your pearls amongst the swine. Now, I can give you some little bread, some kibbles and bits, but I can't give you these pearls.
Yeah.
These pearls are for the remnant. These pearls are for the elect. And if not, this very people that you're trying to help, those will be the people that will be the beginning of your demise. Them very people will kill you.
And man, I think it comes down to protecting your energy. Protect your energy, protect the people you love energy. And going back to our conversation earlier when we started, not everyone's going to be ready.
Nope.
And that's okay. And when they are ready, if you still want to be there for them, great. But if not, as I get older, I kind of have less people in my life. It's weird. I have more people in some areas. I have less people close and intimate with me. I have more, probably because it's business and you're networking, like it's kind of different than that. But it's about protecting your energy, man.
No, it is, bro. And you're doing a wonderful job of that. I appreciate you, man, because iron sharpens iron, steel sharpens steel, and will sharpens will. And when you get connected to people who going in the same direction as you, we come together, we recharge up, and nobody's leaving empty. Right? We both leave on a high to go out and do the work that we need to do. And then we got to come back and encourage one another again and inspire one another again to recharge, to go back out to do the work. And then every time we come back, we're bringing back more tools. We're bringing back more information. We're bringing back more integrity for us to be able to do the things that we need to do to transcend.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate the kind words. And
that's real.
Bro, thank you. Couple things. Thank you for being you. Thank you. I said at the beginning of the interview, but thank you for being so supportive and just kind over these years, man. I've always looked up to you like an older brother. And, man, coming on and sharing your story today, it gives me an inside look into what makes you who you are. And I leave inspired, man, like hearing how many times you were cut, you had an injury, and you kept going. You kept going. You kept going. So thank you for your honesty and vulnerability, because a lot of people in your position don't have to do that, man.
No, bro, I appreciate it. I appreciate you recognizing that. I appreciate you asking the questions. And like I said, having a platform, because it's moments and times like this that people will have an opportunity to keep going. People will have an opportunity to say, man, I thought it was bad, but on my worst day, it's somebody else's paradise. Somebody can't get out to bed. So I appreciate you doing what you're doing, Force Media. Look, say the name of this. Edge.
This is Find Your Edge.
Find Your Edge,
this is
right?
Find Your Edge.
Like, I think that's so powerful, because like when you think about someone who's on the edge of whatever, like that's what comes to mind for me.
Yeah.
It's like finding your edge could be like the edge before you fall off, but finding the edge could be the edge before you take off. Right. And so it's like, it's like a double, entendre, if you would. But bro, you got to find it.
Yeah.
No matter what you do in your life, you have to find your edge, and you have to find, and you have, if you don't get there, you'll go in the grave and you'll leave, your dash won't be full. You'll leave with your dash will be empty if you never find your edge.
I wish I had that much thought when I put it into the name. I didn't, but I love that now, man. I love that, big dog. Hey, Dad.
Love you, bro.
Hey, I love you, brother. I appreciate you, man.
What's up, man?
And, bro, thank you again. Thank you so much for being on, man. This was great today. This was great. Bro. I appreciate it, bro. To everybody listening, what'd I tell y'all? This was poetry in motion. This was a motivational speech. This was honesty and transparency. Stevie, shout out you, brother, for coming on and telling the truth about your story. And to everybody watching and listening, I appreciate you. The show has been blowing up recently. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. We're not stopping. We're not slowing down. Dion, we're coming for you. You're going to come on the show soon. I love you guys. I'll see you soon on the next episode of Find Your Edge. Take care.